The Big Apple just can't catch a break with these videos, eh? We keep throwing weather event after destructive weather event and seeing if it'll hold up. Soon enough, we'll be tossing a Sharknado into the equation, and that's when things will really get interesting. Maybe a Kaiju or two to round it out. But hey, the concrete jungle has so many people and so many buildings, of course it would be a fantastic backdrop for a disaster scenario. We don't want anything like this to ever really happen, but imagine the movies folks could write. Hello fellow friends and philosophers, and welcome back to the most mind-bending channel on YouTube, Life's Biggest Questions. I'm your voice in the void, Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be asking a rapidly rotating question. What if an F6 twister attacked New York City? Oh yeah, it's gonna get wild. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more spinning sadness. Wicked, let's get windy. I figured the best way to approach this video is to break it down into parts. I'll open with a quick explanation of twisters and their rankings and maybe discuss the possibility of any such weather event touching down in Central Park. Then we'll really dig down and get into what it would mean for a twister to attack New York. Sound good? Fantastic. Alright, so what exactly is an F6 twister? Let's start by defining a twister. If your brain works like mine, you might have assumed that there's a difference between twisters and tornadoes. Unfortunately, that's just language messing with you. Twister is simply slang for tornado, based largely on the fact that they are rapidly rotating vortexes. Go figure. So our twister is a storm that tends to pick up speed when on land. How might such a storm form? When cold air way up in the sky meets with some warm air closer to the ground, it causes pressure instability. The warm air rises up and starts the rotation synonymous with tornadoes. Twisters are created within thunderstorms, so before the huge spinning cylinder of wind makes landfall, there's usually some sort of rain or hail. Then debris starts spinning and things get destructive. They get bigger and bigger the more they pick up, which makes them much more dangerous. So we've defined our twister, now let's figure out what F6 could mean. Like hurricanes, tornadoes are measured using a number-based scale. The National Weather Service categorizes twisters using the enhanced Fujita scale. This is used after assessing the amount of damage the storm caused. The original scale was developed by Dr. Ted Fujita, who wanted to provide an estimate for the amount of damage that a tornado might cause. Over time, the scale was updated to take new damage indicators into account. Categories range from EF0 through 5, with wind speeds being the major factor in rising ranks. An EF0 tornado could have winds of 65 to 85 miles per hour. At EF3, it could top 165 miles per hour, and at EF5, the storms are spinning at more than 200 miles per hour. The damage caused by these storms ranges as well. Even an EF2 can cause major damage to houses and other buildings, and once you reach an EF5, buildings can basically disappear. It's pretty terrifying. But what about an F6 though? Where does that factor in? Well, there's no official F6 rating for tornadoes. The Fujita scale only went to 5, and even with updates added to create the enhanced scale, there is no 6th category. So we would have to make some assumptions about this legendary storm. The EF5 category is a pretty general one. It contains any storm that exceeds 200 miles per hour. The categories preceding it all seem to be stratified by differences in wind speed between 20 and 30 miles per hour on average, so it would probably be safe to say that a category 6 might break 230 miles per hour. But let's get crazy with it and say that this storm could top 300 miles per hour, just for fun. If a category 5 tornado can lift houses right off the ground and knock down sturdy walls, imagine what an F6 might do. It would be harrowing to say the least. Cool. So now we've got a point of reference concerning our mythical storm. Could something like this ever hit New York City though? It's been a while since any major storm hit the Big Apple, but back in 2018, a Category 0 tornado touched down in College Point, Queens. Reaching a maximum speed of 85 miles per hour, this twister took out dozens of trees, some power lines, and the siding on some houses. A far cry from our hypothetical Category 6. This kind of weather in the city is rare, with only a select few ever touching down since 1950. The worst of the bunch ripped through town in 2007, reaching winds of up to 135 miles per hour. Scary, but not a Category 6. Most of these twisters cause some damage, but not much. They might cut power for a little while and send some outdoor furniture flying, but that's about it. On that note, we should start reckoning with our titular question. What if an F6 twister attacked New York City? Let's look a little closer at the query. It reveals a reality much more terrifying than any storm. See, storms don't tend to have sentience. They exist because of changes in air pressure, in wind speeds, and sunlight. But this storm presented by our question is doing more. It's attacking New York City. That implies sentience, a thinking, violent storm. It won't just pass through and fizzle out, it has goals. And those goals involve violence against the good people of the Empire State. It would be unlike anything we've ever seen before. Let me lay it out for you in the form of a film treatment a la 90s disaster movies. Don't expect total scientific accuracy. We open on a sunny day in New York City. People are hustling and bustling, flagging down taxis and making their way to work. Some are still on lockdown in their high-rises, while others have been called back into the waking world. All seems normal, whatever that means these days. A handsome meteorologist is taking a look at their various weather measuring instruments. Radar is checked, air pressure is monitored, and it looks like a storm is rolling in. The previously sunny day has warmed the air near the ground while a cold wind blows in from above. In fact, the temperatures are so different that the pressure starts to change rapidly. Too rapidly. The storm is coming, and it's coming fast. The scientist double checks the numbers. No, that can't be right. That would mean he rushes over to the phone and calls his boss in a panic. We've got to tell everyone, a major twister is heading our way and it's a doozy. This protective instinct is met with classic New Yorker dismissal. A big tornado in New York? Nah, we'll be all right. As the scientist checks the numbers one more time, he hears something in the breeze. I'm coming for you, the wind whispers. New York is done for. Cut to a down-on-her-luck reporter dropping off her kid at school. She has it tough, with nobody in the newsroom respecting her, a kid to take care of, a jerk of an ex-husband who left her for an investment banker. Her phone rings, it's the meteorologist. He's got a scoop for her, and she's got to get it to the public fast. Major storm, batten down all of the hatches. She looks up and notices some grim-looking clouds rolling in. Maybe she should take this story. Before she can make up her mind, screaming can be heard from off in the distance. The wind has started swirling and managed to corral a variety of improvised projectiles. Traffic signs, cinder blocks, smart cars, all sorts of mid-sized debris is flying around. A pole is tossed into the chest of a businessman. A traffic cop is blown away by a chunk of curb. All hell breaks loose. Our intrepid reporter hops into her 5-star safety-rated sedan and peels off into the storm. Calling her boss, she pitches the story quick, telling him what she just saw. To him, it's just another storm that the weather folks can cover. He doesn't believe it's more than that. After her boss hangs up, our reporter looks over her shoulder at the storm she just escaped. Could it be her imagination, or is it purposefully picking people off? Wait, that can't be. The tornado's taking on human shape? That's right, the little twister's becoming a full-blown monster. She calls the meteorologist back, desperate for answers, and they decide to meet up to figure out what to do next. But first, she has to rescue her kid from school. Driving into the heart of the storm, she manages to dodge all sorts of debris before swinging into the kiss and ride lane. The school's on lockdown, but that's not going to stop this mama bear. She snags her kid and drives off. As this happens, the twister gets more and more intense. It's got to be at least a category 3 by now. Windows are being demolished, ads are being pulled off buildings, cars are starting to be thrown around. It's madness. Thank goodness for that 5-star safety rating, right? Now, that's just a little appetizer, but you get the idea. As the storm picks up speed, it becomes bigger and more humanoid. It starts tearing through buildings like paper and eventually takes on some New York landmarks. The F6 might even pick up the Statue of Liberty and toss it at Madison Square Garden. Anything goes. When a storm has the wherewithal to literally attack a city, nothing is off the table. Our reporter and meteorologist team, complete with wisecracking elementary school kid, would do their best to save as many people as possible while figuring out how to stop the storm. Maybe take a page out of the president's book and figure out how to toss a nuke into it. In the end, the two protagonists would fall in love and live happily ever after in a demolished but hopeful New York City. Until the sequel, that is. Maybe we can get a Sharknado versus F6 crossover going. Movie magic, baby. Obviously, I went a little off the rails here, but I couldn't resist. Imagine the carnage, the chaos. It would be fascinating. And F6 is so far off the charts, you can't totally dismiss my theory. And that's the beauty of asking big questions. What do you think about my tornado tale? Too much? Do you think it would play out any differently? Have you ever seen a tornado in person? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more opalescent ones from the top 10 things you didn't know about the PS5. Your local postman says top 10 things you didn't know about the top 10 things of the top 10 things. But wait, there's more! You forgot to mention the top 5 things that would happen if you knew about the top 10 things. Daytona says, imagine dropping the DualSense while unboxing. Pain. Infinite and unyielding. Abel Vandervoort says, when you want a PS5 but realize you don't have money. I hear kidneys are selling for a pretty penny these days. Russell McCoon says, looks like this thing will connect to the TV wireless. My only issue with that is latency. It'd be sweet for streaming movies and TV, but games might get a little laggy. And Toy Bond says, what if dolphins became as intelligent as humans? Well, they're already more intelligent. Didn't you read The Hitchhiker's Guide? And that's all the time we have for today. Before I hit the eject button, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more wicked weather. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.